Hey everyone, today I have Steven Lam here with me. He is an agent with Keller Williams and is a part of the David Greene team out in the East Bay. Today Steven is going to talk a little bit about investing in rental property. He spends a lot of his time helping families find their dream house, but also spends some time working with investors who are interested in using real estate as a wealth building tool. So Steven, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Tushar.
Stephen, let's get right into it. The first thing I think we'll talk about is some rental property, and perhaps if we have some time on the back end, we can also talk about fix and flips and what you've seen there. But as we talk about rental property, how does the ROI differ on ready-to-rent property versus those that may require some work?
Well, we just got to factor out the cash outlay. When it's ready to rent, you don't have to do any type of conversion. You get in there, you put in a down payment, and then your cash on cash return will be higher. But if you have some conversion or rehab that needs to be done, then your cash outlay will be higher. So then your cash on cash return year one will be a little bit different. But every year as you increase the rent, your cash on cash return will also increase as well. So.
Got it. That's helpful. And then I know that you're working with investors all around the Bay Area. What have you seen in terms of like rental ROI in different parts of the Bay Area?
Well, in the Bay Area, many of our investors' clients, they'll come and they'll say, "Hey, we want to invest in the Bay Area. What is the cash on cash return percentage in terms of for the Bay Area for rental properties?" We're seeing that in the Bay Area, ideally, you can get probably something around 6 to 8%. But if you push around the purchase price a little bit and go deeper into Oakland, the lower purchase price with 20% down, then you might be able to get 10 to 11% return on your investment. But many of the investors some of them are looking for like 20 to 30 to 40% return on their investment, cash on cash return. So we'll suggest for them to go out of state essentially. So in the Bay Area, the play will probably be an equity play, unless you want to get the cash on cash return that falls into the 6 to 8% and sometimes even 10. So that's what I'm seeing in the market and working with our clients.
Okay, that's helpful. So what you're saying is, if you're investing in real estate in the Bay Area, you have to think about it from a total return perspective, not just, cash on cash.
Exactly, but also everybody's goals is a little bit different, right? Like every investor client we have, some of them are okay with 5 or 4% return because they're doing the equity play where they're hoping that the appreciation in the Bay Area homes will increase over time. But others would prefer the cash on cash return, and they might even purchase a property out of state, right? Like sometimes I will go out of state and purchase properties as well because I want a 40% return as opposed to an 8% return. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful. I've also read about the 1% rule when investing in rental properties, and this rule says that you should earn no less than 1% of the purchase price of your property in rent each month. So if you were to buy a $500,000 rental property, you should earn about $5,000 a month in rent. We obviously know that for most parts of the Bay Area that this isn't a realistic ratio. How do your clients think about this rule, if at all? And is there a counter argument to that?
I mean, this rule is good for a quick analysis, right? And basically, you said it yourself. You said in the Bay Area, it's probably impossible to buy a $500,000 home and rent it out for $5,000. But we do have strategies around it, right? The term house hacking. If we buy a single family home for $500,000 and somehow we can split the home into two, or make an in-law unit or studio, then you might be able to still hit that $5,000 and hit that 1% rule, right? Or if you purchase a duplex at $550,000 in Oakland and you rent out both sides, right, at 20% down, you will still hit that 1% rule. You just got to play with the numbers a little bit. But there are strategies so that you can get a high return on your investment within the Bay Area. So.
Okay, cool. And actually to piggyback off of what you just said in terms of splitting the house or building out an in-law unit, is there anything investors should keep in mind as they look to do that or consider that as an option?
Yeah, so if you're, I call this a linear line of comfort, right? The more uncomfortable you can be, the more cash on cash return you're going to get. Okay. So for me, me and my wife, I suggested to her the term house hacking. I was like, hey, what if we buy a single family home and we split the home into two and we rent out a portion of the home to offset that mortgage, right? My wife automatically said no.
Yeah.
It's just straight because we have a child, they want a backyard. But then I told her, what if we don't see the tenants? What if I find a home with a basement that's unfinished and finish out the basement, right? So to do that means that I can get a primary resident loan at 5% down, right? And put in some money and then have a low cash outlay and then rent it out, right? So because the strategy is to basically put the least money down as you can, rent it out to offset the mortgage as much as you can. And from there, you basically have an investment, right? Then the whole linear line of comfort that I was talking about was if we're more uncomfortable and let's say we have a converted garage and me and my wife and my one son stays in the garage, then I can rent the rest of the house out and cover the full mortgage, right? But I'm paying for comfort and I'm okay with that. So every investor is a little bit different. So that's a big strategy right now in the Bay Area. People want to live in the Bay Area, but they don't want to pay Bay Area prices. So let's convert the garage, or let's see if the home is already split up when some homes have ADUs in it. Let's rent out the ADU, right? So that's a big one. So the idea is try to lower your cash outlay, meaning the amount of cash you put in, down payment, rehab, and conversion, and increase the rents. So.
Okay. And as you talk to your investor clients about evaluating different properties, are there any like resources that you point your clients to help them, make a purchase decision? I'm sure you guys are obviously, holding their hand along the way as well, but is there anything else that they should be considering?
If you're a new investor, I would just say listen to some podcasts. Bigger Pockets is a big real estate investing podcast. And actually, my team leader, David Greene, is the one who hosts the podcast. He does a lot of our training. But I would say just listen to podcasts, do a lot of reading in terms of books on real estate investing so that you can get used to and understand a little bit more around investing terms. But also lean on a real estate agent who's investor friendly, okay? So that they can hold your hand and guide you, right? Like essentially that's what the agent is there for, right? Like pay the expert. You're not actually paying them anything, right? As an agent, on the seller side pays for it, but like have someone you trust on your side and outsource it and have that expert ready to help you run those numbers as needed.
Okay, that makes sense. Before we shift gears to talk about fix and flips, is there anything else that you'd like to mention to our clients about rental income properties in general, or things they should consider?
Well, I mean, the market is in the Bay Area is still pretty strong. I do suggest that the house hacking option, also looking into some duplex and triplexes as well. The thing about duplex and triplexes is it's just a little bit more difficult to come by. But the house hacking strategy has been working for many of our clients. We're getting a lot of people in escrow, and even if it's offsetting the mortgage just for $1,000 or $2,000, it's still generating income, right? But many of our clients who are looking to really have the full mortgage paid for and cash flow are still also house hacking. So just look up that term and consider it as a way of living in the Bay Area and to reach financial freedom and building your real estate wealth. So. Okay,
that's helpful. Cool. Well, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about fix and flips. I know this is a much smaller part of what you do, but I think it piques some interest for sure. What are some things that you look for in a property specifically that you're looking to fix and flip?
Oh man, I'm looking for myself. I flipped a couple of homes. I'm looking for strictly like distressed properties. Like I'm looking for a 20 to 30% discount. And what I mean by that is I run the comparable analysis around the comps and figure out what's the after repair value. And I'll take a 20% discount of that and then subtract the repair costs to fix the home up. So those are my exact numbers and how I run it. I think the strategy here is basically learning and knowing how to estimate repair costs really well. If you can do that and master that, then the other part is just multiplying your discount, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing for me. Like I'm looking for a 20 to 30% discount. I'm looking to make 20 to 30% on my money after repair costs, essentially.
Okay. And where do you typically find these beaten down properties in Northern California?
Honestly, it's a funnel, right? You have to generate these leads. On the MLS, it's a little bit more difficult. You'll see a handful or so. And if you see those on the MLS, they're usually looking for cash offers, and someone will come in with a low ball offer or a cash offer with no contingencies. But the way I look for them is sometimes I will cold call, I'll hit up probate lists. I'll look for the data myself to generate leads, and I'll reach out to friends and families as well to say, hey, if you know anybody looking to sell their home, I'll buy it as is with cash. Okay.
Okay.
But essentially it's about looking for them and generating those leads and filling up your funnel, looking for wholesalers who goes out and find these distressed properties. And when I mean distress, I mean like you see my Instagram with some of these properties where it's not livable.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there's basically a gut job and you're taking the whole inside of the house and just rebuilding it essentially. So
Okay, got it. And so in the houses that you have flipped, what's sort of the average renovation time before it's market ready?
I mean, it varies, right? Some homes can be cosmetic, but the ones I've done, it went from anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months.
Okay.
And sometimes, permits take longer than usual. And when it does, then it can go into 3 months, 4 months. So the one that was 3 months actually should have been done in 8 weeks, but it prolonged to 3 months actually.
Okay, got it. And is there sort of like a golden ratio between the purchase price of the fixer upper in the first place and then how much you invest into fixing it?
Well, the quick ratio, do you mean a formula to figuring out what your return would be?
Yeah, like if let's say you were to, buy like a distressed property for $200,000, how much more does it make sense to invest, at that point? Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? Is there like a ratio there that you try to abide by or not necessarily?
Not necessarily, right? Because
Yeah.
the repair costs on one property can be significantly more than another. It's about, how much you want to make on that flip after like capital gains tax, right?
Right. Okay.
So it's just contingent on the flipper, right? Like you have, like, for example, there's a home in Concord that we put in an offer on. We were the highest bid, but someone came in with a cash offer in Concord, California, and just knocked everybody out the park. There were 16 offers on the house. When I run the numbers on the spread as a flip, I didn't see a big return, but that person who's coming in to flip the home as a cash offer, they saw a return, right? Meaning they're right now, flips are hard to come by. So he's probably thinking like, look, this is my flip. I'm going to take it. If I make 20 grand off of it, I'm okay with that, right? I want a larger spread than 20 grand, essentially, if I put in all that work. But it's just contingent on the person, right? So.
Okay, that's helpful. And how do you go about financing these properties?
I use some of my personal money. I have a really good financial advisor named Tushar, so he put some money on the side for me. But at the same time, we do hard money loans. So I've done a hard money loan before where there's some guidelines that we have to follow, but it's a higher interest rate. But if the numbers work out in terms of like a 3-month holding cost or a 6-month holding cost, then we'll use the hard money lender. Sometimes I have people coming to me, friends and family who would like to invest at a higher interest rate, which is also great. I wouldn't mind working with friends and families, money, essentially them being money partners,
Yeah.
because there's no restrictions around like how I draft that money. So hard money loans, they usually have restrictions on how you draft the money and like have inspector come out to check the work and all that good stuff. So it takes a little bit
Okay,
longer.
got it. What about like the bigger banks? Do they lend on these types of properties or not really?
If it was like a conventional loan, primary residence, then it's possible if you want to go below 20% down. If it's an investment property and you want a conventional loan as well, as long as you put 20 to 25% down, then it's possible as well. it's possible. So the banks do lend on it, but FHA loans, they won't probably, because the Section 1 wouldn't pass. Section 1 meaning the pests and inspection reports. The appraiser will come out and they're probably going to see the home is beat down and distressed, and Fannie Mae, FHA won't loan on it. So.
Okay, that's helpful. And then how do you use like your personal knowledge and experience of flipping homes to help clients just as a real estate agent?
Oh yeah, I mean, like working with families, a lot of families come, some would look for turnkey, and that's simple, right? Like we just find them a property and trying to negotiate and figure out like what makes sense for them. But when it comes to like looking for a diamond in the rough, a property where it needs a little work with the pink tile in the restroom, having some rehab knowledge is great, because I can give them a rough estimate before the contractors come out and give them bids, right? So that they can have an idea of what purchase price to go into, right? Because in the Bay Area, it's still pretty competitive. And because of that, sometimes you just got to move quicker. But also working with investor clients, understanding the rental market, understanding like what it takes to do a rehab or conversion on a house hack or generate income is very important as well. So just understanding how to run those numbers. So using that knowledge to help families and investors is pretty important. So.
Okay, cool. And have you built out like some spreadsheets and models to help your investor clients kind of calculate all of these going into the purchase price?
Yeah, I have some spreadsheets, some models. I have some in my head. Like I said,
Yeah.
every client is so different around their wants and needs. But when they're working with me, what I do is I really listen to their goals around investing or their goals around a family, owning a home as a family. And then from there, before I show them models or throw numbers at them, I would show them my process around their goals, right? So if they have a goal of like strictly doing a rental income at 20% down and they want a cash flow at this percentage, then I would show them what I would look for a property so that they have an idea as they're looking, right? Because these days, everybody's looking at properties. It's easy to go online and look for a property, but it's running the numbers and looking and thinking through what to look for in a property and understanding neighborhoods or whatnot, right? So I have all of that stuff mapped out, but it's just contingent on the client and their real estate goals. So.
Okay, great. Steven, thanks so much for your time today. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add about yourself or your business?
I would just say if you're interested in looking for a home in the Bay Area, either as a primary residence or a rental property, or just want to talk a little bit more about investing, just reach out to me. Phone number is 510-847-3541. My email is Steven with a V, Lam @kw.com. If you're looking to learn more about investing, check out Bigger Pockets. David Greene, my team leader, is the host. But also at the same time, if you want to look about some rehab costs or look at some flips, just look at my Instagram, Steven8Lam Steven8Lam is my handle. Sorry.
Okay, great. And I'll
8.
make sure to include your contact information when we send this out to our clients. But thanks so much again for your time today.
Thank you, Tushar. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Have a good day.